Now here we have the Nintendo Wii U, obviously a very misunderstood system and, let's be honest, the biggest flop of the last console generation. But are there any titles worth playing on it? Is it a decent console? Is it as bad as everybody makes out? And is it worth you buying one in 2017? And if you like my videos, I'm sure you will love my weekly retro gaming podcast. Download it every single Friday from theretrohour.com. Hey friends, now today we're going to be talking about Nintendo, obviously a legendary company, probably the most famous video games brand in the world, and on my channel in the past I've done videos about Nintendo consoles. We've covered the N64, the Super Nintendo, the original NES, and most recently I did a video a few months ago on the Nintendo Switch, which I picked up on launch day, and I've been playing it a lot recently, mainly thanks to this game here, the brand new 2D Sonic game that just came out this week, Sonic Mania. And I've been waiting with bated breath for this game since it was first announced, and I've got to say it was worth every second of the wait. If you love those kind of old school Sonic games from the Mega Drive, definitely go and pick this up. I think it's only about 15 quid off the online store as well, and it is a real return to form for Sonic the Hedgehog, and something Sega should have done probably 10 years ago really. But for this video I'm going to tear myself away from the Switch, we're going to stop playing Sonic Mania for 5 minutes, and we're going to talk a bit about the Switch's predecessor, which was of course the Nintendo Wii U. A very weird system, it's got to be said, and one that really didn't catch the imagination of the gaming market. Most people have probably never even played on one of these systems, judging by the very low sales that it had. And I actually was quite interested in the Wii U when it was first announced. It kind of got on my radar when they made the original announcement, and when I saw this go on sale in late 2012, I think I picked one up about November or December that year. The thing is though, as much as I do like the Wii U, I think it is quite an innovative platform, and it's got some gaming experiences that you really don't get to experience on any other console. And as you can see from this big stack of games next to me, I have invested quite reasonably in the Wii U, and there are some great titles that I really enjoy playing on here, but I do actually think this system was probably always destined to fail. Now, the reasons are quite multiple really. I mean, going back to the timing of the console, they got that really badly wrong. I think Nintendo had it in their mind that they wanted to beat Sony and Microsoft to market in the upcoming 9th generation of consoles, as this system was released in 2012. But the thing is, by that time everybody knew that the PlayStation 3 and the 360 were winding down, and everyone knew that Sony and Microsoft had upcoming new consoles with the PlayStation 4 or Xbox 720, everyone was calling it then, the Xbox One, of course it became eventually. And I think most people, rather than going out and putting down their money on the Wii U just to kind of get into the next generation, quite wisely decided to wait and see what the offerings were from the other bigger console companies, you could say, or the ones that had more powerful hardware. And as it turned out, in terms of performance and the kind of games that we got on the Wii U, it was a lot more in line with the 8th generation, with the 360 and the PS3. When the PlayStation 4 came along, it was a lot more powerful than the Wii U. So that was really bad timing, bringing it out right kind of in between generations didn't do them any favours at all. And the other big problem with it is the branding. Now, it's called the Wii U, and Nintendo, I think, got a little bit greedy because they wanted to kind of retain that legacy of the Nintendo Wii, which obviously was their biggest selling console. It sold 101 million units in like the 5 or 6 years it was on sale, and everybody had a Wii, didn't they? You went over grandma's house, she'd give you a slice of cake and a cup of tea, and then she'd dig out Wii bowling, and everyone's like 5-year-old niece or nephew had a Wii in their bedroom. Everybody's wife and girlfriend had one for like Wii Sports and Wii Fit and that kind of thing. Everyone had a Wii board, but the people that bought the Wii were not gamers. They were the people that soon got bored of the Wii and it gathered dust and they put it in the cupboard, and if they do gaming at all now, it's probably stuff like Candy Crush on their mobile phone. But what Nintendo wanted to do was try and retain that audience and also kind of bring back proper gamers who wanted actual games on a Nintendo system. And I think by calling this system the Wii U, all they did is completely alienate both of those audiences, unfortunately. Case in point there, my brother has been, a video games fan all of his life. We grew up playing games together. He's got, an Xbox One now, 360 and PS3 before that, going back to the PS2, original PlayStation, Commodore 64, Amiga, he's gamed on all those systems. And when I mentioned that I picked up the Wii U, he kind of dismissed it and he was like, I'm not into motion gaming. Like many people, he assumed it was just kind of a tablet add-on for the original Nintendo Wii. Most people didn't know it was in fact its own brand new platform and a new console not just an edition for the Wii console. And Nintendo didn't help that by not doing any marketing until it was way too late. I mean, they did try and explain it in like, maybe last year, I think, or the year before, but by then everybody had moved on. So that was a big problem with the system, the fact that the branding was all over the place, and also the architecture of it as well. Now, we look back to like the last generation of consoles, and the 360 and the PS3 were kind of based on a variant of the PowerPC architecture, and the Wii U has got a PowerPC CPU in there as well. The only problem is, by the time this system came out, everybody else in the console market and computers was moving away from it. Apple used to use PowerPC CPUs in their desktop and laptop machines. They abandoned it in 2006. The PS4 and the Xbox One moved over to x86 architecture. PC gaming has had a huge resurgence in recent years. And you've got to think, if you're a third-party developer and you're developing a title for every other platform that's got x86 architecture, are you really going to go to all the effort of having to port it just for one system to PowerPC? PowerPC is dead in terms of consoles and desktop machines. IBM still develop it, but really it's more for servers and stuff like mainframe systems and embedded use, really, and like corporate use. So having a PowerPC chip in there did not do Nintendo any favors at all. And even then, the CPU that is in the Wii U is massively underpowered. Now, it is a custom variant of the PowerPC which is called Espresso, and there's been a few benchmarks done on it. It's a tri-core CPU, 3 cores I believe, and it turns out that in terms of raw power, it is 1.4 gigahertz, and it's actually on par with a PowerPC G3 chip from 1997. So you can imagine that probably frustrated and pissed off a lot of developers having to work with such constraints, when trying to port their games to it. The saving grace of the Wii U was its GPU, which I think had 2 cores on there. One was for backward compatibility with original Wii games, which it does run, and the other one was actually kind of what gave the Wii U all of its power. That was called Latte. So that's what's responsible for running, those kind of quite smooth, like most of them were only 30 frames a second, the games I believe on there, but it meant that it can run stuff like, Zelda Breath of the Wild okay, mainly down to the GPU power, not the CPU. Now in terms of design, I do actually quite like the design of the Wii U. As you can see, it did come in 2 different variants. We had this rather slick looking black one here. It's quite small, the form factor of the console is pretty tiny, and it does kind of fit in quite nicely with your media center. There's also a white version of this released as well, depending on the size I believe. This is actually a 32 gigabyte Wii U, which does sound really small but is expandable. I'll give you a little close up of the front of the machine here, but as you can see, we have a power button there, there's a sync button, an eject for the optical drive there, which is actually a mechanical drive. It's got quite a nice action on there as well, and the format that the Wii U uses is called Wii U optical discs. It's not DVDs or Blu-rays. They're actually their own proprietary disc format, which I think holds around 25 gigabytes. And the discs are actually quite nice. They've got quite a smooth outer ring, so they actually feel quite nice to handle. And that's about it really. There's not a lot more on the front. We do have a little flap here at the bottom, if I can open that in camera. As you can see, there's a couple of USB ports there and a slot for one of the large format SD cards as well, which is used to expand the memory, because I said it's only got 32 gigs internally, and you can do like downloaded games and DLC and stuff you can store on the SD card. Around the side of it, there's nothing. You can put a couple of feet on the button to enable you to stand it up, horizontally or vertically. And then on the back of it, just the AC adapter, AV multi-out if you want to do it in SD. There's also the little port there as well for the sensor bar, because it does work with the original Wii sensor bar, so for backwards compatibility. There's also HDMI out there as well, and a couple of USB ports. As this was, the first Nintendo console to be high definition, to work in HD. So, it is quite a nice little design, and it does fit quite nicely into my media center. I'm happy enough with it. And also we have probably the most famous aspect of the Wii U, the Gamepad, which is a bit of a love and hate thing. Now, it was quite an interesting concept, and obviously, looking at where Nintendo went with the Switch, you can kind of see a bit of the legacy there. They're kind of moving towards this. They had a lot of the ideas already implemented in the Wii U, but unfortunately, the touchscreen is nowhere near as powerful. It's kind of like using a touchscreen from pre-iPhone generation. It's you have to use a stylus for it really to be accurate, which comes in the top of the gamepad here, and it doesn't do multi-touch or anything like that. It does feel a little bit unresponsive, but for certain types of games like Mario Maker for example, it did work quite well, but obviously needing a stylus really didn't help its cause. I've lost this is about the 4th or 5th one I've bought for this system, especially because it can just drop out the top when the catch can has worn a bit over the years. And then we have a couple of analog sticks there as well, a D-pad, a couple of action buttons there as well, start and select. You've also got a TV button here at the bottom. which means that you can actually, for games that do support it, either bounce between having it displayed on your television or actually playing the games completely on the Gamepad. There are a couple that do support that. Unfortunately, the majority of games don't. Usually they use a bit of a combination. But you can play, for example, Mario Kart 8. I've been playing that on my balcony just using this before it got released on the Switch. And that was quite nice on a sunny day, being able to sit out and about and play it. You had to be in range of your console though, so you couldn't take it around a friend's house, unfortunately. You've also got a camera and a microphone built in as well, which a couple of games did use. There's a volume slider on the top. You can also plug in headphones, and there's a port there for charging it, or you can just dock it as well in the bottom. So it was an interesting design and quite innovative of them, but as you can see, it is quite a clunky controller. I mean, some games did use a screen effectively. For example, I think one of the Call of Duty games, I think I've got a feeling there might be 2 of them on the Wii U, and there was Black Ops, and I think maybe Ghost came out. I might be wrong about that, but it does show the actual map on the screen there as well, so you can look down at the map and then play the game on the screen. Resident Evil did that on here too, and some other games actually used it quite innovatively. For example, I've got Project Zero, Maiden of Blackwater, and that uses a camera on there, and you actually use it as a camera in the game as well. So if developers did actually take advantage of it, it was quite powerful. But unfortunately, especially after the initial couple of years of the Wii U being on sale, most of them got lazy and just kind of did quick and dirty ports that showed mirrored the screen between both of the main TV and the on-screen on here. What you'd really want to do though, if you wanted to get accuracy in games like Mario Kart 8 for example, you'd want to go out and get one of these, a Pro controller, which is actually a really nice design, and as you can see, it's got a lot in common with the Xbox 360 controller in terms of shape and design, and that's not a bad thing. I think this feels really nice in the hand, and in many ways I quite like the layout of the sticks on the top here. It feels a bit more comfortable in the hand than the Xbox 360 controller, so this is actually my favourite controller of this generation. Obviously the Xbox One has probably overtaken it since, but it was a really, really nice experience to use it. Unfortunately, it's not compatible with the Switch, which is a bit annoying because this costs 59 quid, and if you want to get a Pro controller for the Switch, you're talking about the same price, and I'm sure they could have found a way to make this work with the Switch, but it's Nintendo wanting the money, so that's understandable. Now, I will say, the Wii U is quite an interesting platform, and in a minute I'm going to show you a few of my games that I like playing on the system. And the one thing I will say is that right now everybody's kind of forgotten about the Wii U and moved on to new systems, so it is a very good time to get into Wii U collecting, I think. So they're actually selling quite cheap at the moment, as are a lot of the games. I mean, I'm looking through a few of these here. I picked up some of these games for a £5 recently, and you check eBay, the prices of Nintendo games for older systems are shooting up. They're at an all-time high now, so collecting for the Wii and the Wii U now is a very good time to get into it. But for the next bit of the video, to kind of conclude this, I'll show you a few of the titles that I enjoy playing on the Wii U and give you a little overview of some of its game library.
Haruka. She's here on the mountain.
Have you seen her?
No, but she's here. I have to find her.
Let's go!
So as you can see, there actually are some really good games that are worth playing on the Wii U, despite the fact that it's got a bad reputation. The Wii U itself, wasn't a bad console, it was just badly marketed and badly timed. Some of the games on it are actually just worth going out and getting a system just to play them, and you're not going to get them anywhere else right now. Games like Yoshi's Woolly World, which is one of the best platformers I've played in years. Kirby's loads of fun as well. Donkey Kong, Tropical Freeze, an amazing game, worth picking up a system if you're into those kind of old school platformers. Obviously Super Mario Maker, these are experiences that you're not going to get on any other platform. And like I said before, now is the time to get into Wii U collecting, because the prices of the systems and the games are at an all-time low, and they're only going to get higher. I've seen stuff like Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is obviously Nintendo's final game that they released on the platform. It's already selling for about 65 quid in some shops on the high street, because Nintendo, I've heard a rumour, have only done one print run of that game, and there's not going to be any more. So I think that's probably going to fetch quite a few few dollars, few pounds in the future. So now's the time to get into Wii U collecting if you are interested. It's definitely going to keep its place in my home theatre setup for years to come. There's still so many great games that I want to play regularly on this system. But right now, I think I'm going to get back to playing a bit more Sonic Mania on the Switch. If you have got any questions about the Wii U, or maybe there are some hidden gems and games that you really enjoy on the platform that maybe don't get talked about in many places that you'd like to recommend that maybe I try out or anybody else, please do leave a comment in the comments box below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.